I've always believed workplaces reveal who people truly are. Maybe that's because, over the years, I've seen situations that would shock anyone who hasn't dealt with pressure, power, or ambition. I've watched people crumble, others rise, and some cross lines they swore they never would. But what happened to the man whose story I'm about to tell, it still bothers me. Sometimes I catch myself thinking about it when I'm walking alone at night or finishing a long day of work. It reminds me of how fragile dignity can become when someone powerful decides to twist it. His name was Adrian. He wasn't the kind of guy who drew attention when he walked into a room. He was quiet, observant, and genuinely kind, the type who'd hold the elevator door for a stranger even if he was running late. He worked as a project analyst at a mid-sized tech company, hoping one day to move up to management. Not because he wanted power, but because he wanted stability. His upbringing had been tough, and he had promised himself years ago that he'd build a life that didn't depend on luck or other people's mercy. For a long time, that job felt like the beginning of his dream. He'd arrive early, leave late, help coworkers without expecting credit, and deliver every task with precision. His reports were so well structured that even directors used them during presentations. People liked him, not in a loud or attention-seeking way, but they trusted him, and in an office full of ambition and ego, trust was a rare currency. But one person noticed him more than the rest. Her name was Morgan. When she first joined the company as the new departmental manager, everyone talked about her. She was sharp, confident, the kind of woman who walked with purpose and never seemed unsure of a single decision. She dressed impeccably, spoke eloquently, and carried an air of authority that made people sit up straighter when she entered a room. Some admired her. Some feared her. Most pretended to do both. Adrian, on the other hand, didn't think much about her at first. He respected her position, did what was asked, and kept his distance. But that distance slowly eroded as Morgan began singling him out for praise. It started subtly. One afternoon, as he was gathering documents from the printer, she walked by and said, "Your last report was brilliant, Adrian. It stood out. You're not like the others." He smiled politely, thanked her, and returned to his desk. It didn't feel strange, at least, not then. But the compliments began to come weekly, then almost daily. "You have real potential. You remind me of someone who went far in this company. I see things in you others don't notice." At first, Adrian felt grateful. Recognition from a manager was rare, and Morgan's approval made him believe he was truly on the right path. But then she started showing up at his desk more frequently, too frequently, leaning against chairs, asking personal questions, lingering in ways that made him uncomfortable. One day, she invited him to a small meeting room, closing the door behind her. She stood close, closer than necessary, her tone soft but laden with something he couldn't identify. "You're ambitious, aren't you?" she asked. He hesitated. "I suppose I am. I want to grow. And you will." Her eyes narrowed slightly, as if studying his reaction. "As long as you stay, aligned with the right people." He nodded, unsure what she meant. The words felt like both a promise and a warning. For weeks, nothing explicit happened, but the tension became almost tangible. Co-workers whispered when they saw Morgan near his desk. Some joked, lightly at first, but there was an undercurrent he couldn't ignore. "Man, the boss really likes you. You must be her favorite. You're getting promoted for sure." Every rumor tightened the knot in his stomach. Still, Adrian kept working. He told himself he was overthinking, that maybe Morgan was simply a demanding leader who recognized talent. But deep down, he felt watched. Any time he laughed at a coworker's joke, Morgan's gaze would flicker in his direction. When he stayed late, she happened to pass by his desk. When he arrived early, she mysteriously did too. One rainy evening, after the office had mostly emptied, she approached him again. He was packing his laptop into his bag when she leaned against the edge of his desk. "Do you have a moment?" she asked. He froze internally but forced a polite smile. Sure. Good. Follow me. She led him into her glass-walled office. The city lights glowed behind her, reflecting off the windows like fractured stars. She sat on the corner of her desk, not her chair, crossing her legs as she looked at him with a mix of authority and something unnervingly personal. You've been doing exceptional work, she began. And I think you're ready for the next step. His heart quickened. He had been waiting for that sentence for years. But, she said slowly, promotions here aren't just about numbers. They're about loyalty. She leaned forward slightly. And intimacy. Adrian's throat tightened. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, come on, she said with a low laugh, as if teasing a child. You're intelligent. You know exactly what I'm saying. He didn't speak. He couldn't. She stood, walked around him, and stopped just inches away. He could feel the warmth of her presence, the power in the air thick enough to choke him. If you want that managerial position, she whispered, you need to show me you're dedicated to me. Personally. His breath caught. He stepped back instinctively, but she moved closer. Don't act surprised, she said. Do you have any idea how many people here would die for the opportunity I'm offering you? The room felt smaller, the air heavier. I can't, he finally said, voice trembling. Morgan's face shifted into something cold, cold enough to freeze the entire office. Think carefully, she said. This job means a lot to you, doesn't it? Your future. Your stability. He nodded slightly. Then don't make a mistake you'll regret. She dismissed him with a flick of her hand. For days after, Adrian tried to pretend nothing had happened. He woke up early, went to work, completed tasks, joined meetings. But everything was different. Morgan no longer praised him, she scrutinized him. Every email he sent was questioned. Every decision was criticized. She redirected important tasks to others, excluding him from meetings he once led. Co-workers noticed. Dude, what did you do? Why does she look at you like that now? Weren't you too close? He didn't answer. He couldn't. As weeks passed, the situation escalated. Morgan called him into her office often, not to compliment him, but to tear him down. This report is sloppy. Are you losing motivation? Should I consider replacing you? Her tone was sharper each time, her eyes glinting with a quiet cruelty. Adrian felt smaller and smaller, trapped between humiliation and fear. He avoided interactions, skipped lunches, and stopped speaking to coworkers. The office, once bearable, became a minefield. At home, he sat on the floor of his apartment after long shifts, eating instant noodles and trying to make sense of what his life had become. He replayed that night in her office, wondering if he should have spoken differently, walked away sooner, or reported her. But report her to whom? HR practically worshipped her. And what proof did he have? His word against hers. She was powerful. Connected. Charismatic to everyone except the ones she crushed behind closed doors. Slowly, he began to spiral. He slept less. Ate less. Drank more water only because he forced himself. At night, he'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, wondering how everything had gone so wrong so fast. One morning, after barely sleeping, he walked into the office to find Morgan waiting at his desk. "You're late," she said. He wasn't. He checked the time. He was perfectly on schedule. "You're slipping," she continued. "If you want to keep your job, you need to be more compliant." He felt something inside him snap, but not in a dramatic way. It was quieter, like a thread finally breaking after too much tension. That day, during lunch, he sat alone in a stairwell, elbows resting on his knees, hands tangled in his hair. He felt weak. Ashamed. Angry at himself for letting everything reach this point. He needed help. That evening, He called his childhood friend, Marcus, one of the few people he trusted. They met at a quiet cafe, and Adrian told him everything, every detail, every threat, every moment of humiliation. When he finished, Marcus stared at him, stunned. "Man, that's not just toxic. That's illegal." "I know," Adrian whispered. "But what am I supposed to do? She controls everything at the company. HR listens to her. I'm alone." "No, you're not." Marcus leaned closer. "You need to document everything. Emails. Messages. Record conversations if you can. You need proof." Adrian hesitated. "Is that even allowed?" "It doesn't matter right now," Marcus said. "What matters is protecting yourself." For the first time in weeks, Adrian felt a sliver of hope, tiny, but real. He returned to work with a plan. He organized folders on his home computer. He started saving emails, especially the ones where Morgan hinted at loyalty and dedication. He kept notes of every meeting, every insult, every manipulation. Then, one afternoon, he realized something unexpected. He wasn't the only one. A former coworker, Olivia, reached out to him through LinkedIn with a short message, "I heard you still work under Morgan. Are you okay?" He froze. "How did you know?" he typed. "Call me," she replied. They spoke that evening. Olivia's voice trembled as she revealed that Morgan had targeted her before, pressured her, manipulated her, and sabotaged her career when she refused to play along. She had left the company quietly because HR did nothing. They protected Morgan. "She's been doing this for years," Olivia said. "You're not the first. And you won't be the last unless someone stops her." Adrian felt sick. But he also felt something else forming inside him. A quiet, growing strength. He wasn't alone. And if Morgan had a history, he might have a chance to expose her. He met Olivia in person the following week. She brought documents, old messages, old emails, notes she had kept. They weren't perfect, but combined with what Adrian had collected, the picture was damning. Still, they needed more. They needed someone inside the company who had seen something. Someone who wasn't afraid to speak. And that was when Adrian thought of Samira. She was a coworker who had always been kind to him, someone who had noticed things others ignored. He approached her cautiously, not wanting to put her at risk. But when he explained the situation, her eyes widened, not in disbelief, but in confirmation. "I always suspected she was doing something like that," Samira said. "I've seen the way she treats you. And the way she treated Olivia before she left. Will you help me?" Adrian asked. Samira exhaled slowly, then nodded. "Yes. I will." For the first time in months, Adrian felt something return to him, control. He still feared Morgan. He still dreaded working under her. But now he had purpose. He had allies. He had evidence. And slowly, for the first time since that night in her office, he had hope. He knew this wasn't the end. It wasn't even a confrontation. But it was the beginning of the fight. And deep down, beneath the exhaustion and fear, he felt ready. "I've talked to many people about workplace nightmares before. I've even lived through a few myself, the kind that stick to your memory like something you wish you could wash off. But every time I revisit Adrian's story, I'm reminded that some situations aren't just uncomfortable, they're designed to break a person slowly, piece by piece. And watching him fight his way back from the edge taught me something important: people become dangerous when they lose everything except the truth." When Adrian walked into the office the next week, something inside him had shifted. He wasn't confident, not yet, but he was sharper. Aware. He noticed things he hadn't before, the way Morgan tracked him across the room, the whispers that died when he got close, the subtle tension in the air. It all seemed clearer now, as if his fear had been replaced by clarity. But Morgan noticed the change too. She called him into her office on a Wednesday morning. Her voice was crisp, clipped, and her expression carried that unsettling smile she used only when she had something planned. "You've been distant," she said as soon as the door closed. "I've been working," he replied calmly. "That's not what I mean." She stood up, her heels tapping sharply against the floor, and walked slowly around him as if circling prey. "You've changed. You don't look at me the same way. You don't appreciate the opportunities one offer you." He swallowed. "I'm just focused on my projects. Don't lie to me, Adrian." The words came out like a hiss, quiet, but venomous. She stopped right in front of him, her eyes narrowing. "You know what I'm capable of. Don't push me." Something unexpected happened then. For the first time since everything began, he didn't look away. He held her gaze. And something in his expression made her blink, just once, almost imperceptibly. He wasn't afraid in the same way anymore. Morgan straightened her posture, regaining composure. "I suggest you remember your place." But even as she said it, there was a hint of uncertainty in her voice. A small crack. He left the office without responding. Outside, his hands were shaking. He wasn't immune to terror, no matter how calm he tried to appear. But the moment he stepped into the hallway, Samira gave him a subtle nod from her desk. That one gesture grounded him. He wasn't alone. That night, the three of them, Adrian, Olivia, and Samira, met at Olivia's apartment to organize the evidence. Papers covered the dining table, printouts of emails, notes, timelines, recorded conversations from Adrian's phone. The atmosphere was heavy, but determined. "This is enough to bury her," Olivia said. "But we need to be strategic." Adrian looked at the mountain of proof and exhaled slowly. "What if they protect her again?" "Then we go above them," Samira said. "External investigators. Labor authorities. Journalists if needed." Olivia nodded. "We're not letting her destroy another person." It hit Adrian then just how deep Morgan's manipulation had gone. He wasn't an isolated case. She preyed on those she believed she could control, those who wouldn't fight back. And for years, she had been right. Until now. The following week, Adrian began recording every interaction, nothing illegal in his region, but enough to document tone, language, and pressure. He didn't provoke anything, he didn't need to. Morgan's frustration grew naturally. Every time he didn't respond the way she expected, her temper sharpened. One afternoon, she called him in again. "This hesitation of yours is becoming unacceptable," she said. "You think you have a future here without my support? You think anyone is going to promote you after the things I'll say about your performance?" He kept his voice steady. "I'm doing my job." "You're doing what you think is safe," she snapped. "And trust me, safety disappears the moment I decide it does." She leaned closer, lowering her voice to a whisper meant to intimidate. "Say yes to me, Adrian. Or lose everything." Her words were crystal clear. And recorded. He walked out, shakier than ever, but with a stronger sense of purpose. This wasn't just about him anymore. It was about everyone she had harmed and everyone she might harm in the future. He never imagined the breaking point would come the very next day. It was late afternoon when Morgan approached his desk abruptly, slamming a stack of papers beside him hard enough to make coworkers jump. "You messed up the projections," she barked. He looked at the papers. They weren't his. "These aren't mine." "Don't lie to me," she shouted loudly enough for the whole office to hear. Samira stood up instinctively, her expression rigid. A few co-workers exchanged looks, clearly confused. Morgan continued berating him, accusing him of incompetence, of sabotaging progress, of losing his grip. But then she said the sentence that would change everything. "You think you can embarrass me in front of the board? You owe me, Adrian. You owe me everything you have here." The room went silent. He stared at her, stunned. She realized her mistake a second too late. The slip was too revealing, too charged, too personal for a professional environment. Co-workers exchanged glances. People who had whispered assumptions now had confirmation that something was very, very wrong. Morgan swallowed hard, realizing the attention she had drawn. She immediately lowered her voice and grabbed the papers, muttering something about revisiting the data, then stormed into her office and slammed the door. Adrian felt his knees weaken, but Samira rushed over, steadying him with a firm hand on his shoulder. "You're not alone," she whispered. Those 3 words anchored him. That evening, Adrian, Olivia, and Samira finalized everything and prepared to present it all to HR. But they knew HR alone wouldn't cut it. They needed to expose the entire pattern, not just a single incident. They requested a meeting with HR, and to Adrian's surprise, HR agreed immediately, almost too quickly. It felt coordinated. Set up. And when they walked into the HR conference room, they understood why. Morgan was already there. Sitting at the table. Calm. Composed. Smiling. Adrian's stomach dropped. "Oh, good," Morgan said smoothly. "I heard you had concerns. Let's talk." Her tone was sugar-coated poison. The HR director glanced at her awkwardly, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to confront her directly. Adrian realized then that this was her domain. Her battlefield. She had prepared for this, expecting him to come crawling with weak claims and no evidence. But she didn't know he wasn't alone. Olivia stepped forward. "This meeting isn't just about Adrian." Morgan's smile froze. Samira placed a folder on the table. "We have documentation. A lot of it." Morgan's jaw tightened. Adrian sat down slowly, placed his phone on the table, and said, "We'd like to start with audio recordings from the last 3 weeks." HR blinked. Morgan's expression flickered, panic, quickly masked by anger. "That's illegal," she snapped. "It isn't," Olivia said. "Not here. It's permitted as long as one party is aware of the recording." Adrian was aware. Silence. A charged, suffocating silence. Adrian pressed play. Morgan's voice filled the room through the small speaker. Every threat. Every manipulative tactic. Every coercive suggestion wrapped in seemingly harmless words. The tone was unmistakable. The intent undeniable. HR's face drained of color. Morgan stood abruptly. "This is taken out of context." Samira opened another folder. "Then let's add context. Emails. Messages. Notes. Olivia's evidence from years earlier." The pattern was unmistakable. Morgan's confidence cracked like thin glass under pressure. "I won't listen to this," she snapped, grabbing her bag. "This is a coordinated attack. You're all conspiring against." The HR director finally spoke. "Sit down." The authority in his voice stunned everyone at the table, including Morgan. She stared at him, shocked that someone she believed she controlled would speak to her like that. "This is extremely serious," he said. "We need to process this documentation immediately. And until then, you are suspended." Suspended. The word echoed through the room. Morgan's face twisted in disbelief, then fury. "You can't do this to me. Do you know who I am in this company?" "Yes," the director said, voice steady. "And that's exactly why this must be handled carefully." Morgan's eyes darted between them, Adrian, Olivia, Samira, as if searching for weakness. But all she found was resolve. She left the room shaking. When the door closed, Adrian's breath burst out of him in a shudder. He hadn't realized how tightly he'd been holding it in. HR spent hours reviewing everything. Asking questions. Cross-checking dates. Pulling old performance reports, including several that Morgan had falsified or manipulated to punish employees who resisted her. By the end of the night, the director made it official: a full investigation was being launched. External auditors would be involved. Statements would be taken privately. Morgan's access was revoked. The company would cooperate fully with legal authorities. It felt surreal. Adrian walked out of the building with Samira and Olivia beside him. For the first time in months, the night air felt breathable. Cold, but refreshing. "It's not over," Olivia said softly. "These things take time." "I know," Adrian replied. "But at least I'm not suffocating anymore." In the days that followed, co-workers quietly approached him, offering support, sharing their own observations, some even confessing experiences they had buried out of fear. HR treated him with caution and respect now, careful not to show bias as the investigation unfolded. One afternoon, while sitting alone at his desk, Adrian received an email from the HR director. He hesitated before opening it, fearing something might go wrong again. But the message was simple. Promotional review will be resumed after the investigation concludes. Thank you for your courage. He stared at the screen for a long time. Not because he cared about the promotion anymore, but because finally, someone acknowledged the cost of what he had endured. Weeks passed. External investigators questioned everyone who had worked with Morgan. They uncovered more victims, more intimidation tactics, more abuses of power. The company couldn't bury it anymore: too many voices, too much evidence, too much at stake. Morgan's contract was terminated. Her legal troubles began shortly after. When Adrian heard the news, he didn't celebrate. He didn't feel triumphant. He felt something closer to relief: quiet, sober, heavy. He didn't want revenge. He just wanted peace. One Friday evening, months later, he met Marcus at the same cafe where he had first opened up about everything. "You look different," Marcus said, stirring his drink. "In a good way?" Adrian asked. "In a healed way." Adrian smiled slightly. "I'm getting there. Did you ever get that promotion?" "They offered it," he said. "But I turned it down." Marcus blinked. "Why?" "I don't want to lead in a place that taught me to fear leadership. I want something better." "So what are you going to do?" Adrian exhaled, looking out the window at the passing cars. "Something new. Something honest." He didn't know exactly what that meant yet, but he felt free for the first time in a long time. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought to win something. Sometimes they're fought to reclaim yourself. And that's exactly what Adrian did. He left the company a month later with a quiet dignity Morgan could never steal from him. He accepted a position in a smaller, healthier firm: lower pay, fewer perks, but no shadow over his existence. And on his first day at the new job, he sat at his clean desk, opened his fresh notebook, and wrote one sentence. "I survived." The rest of the page stayed blank until he was ready. And one day, he would be. I've thought a lot about Adrian since then, especially on the days when work feels heavy or life feels unfair. I remind myself of how he stood up when standing up meant risking everything. How he chose truth when silence would have been easier. How he found strength not in heroism, but in vulnerability. And in the end, that's what makes his story worth telling. It reminds me that the darkest people aren't always in the places we expect, but the ones who stand against them become brighter than they ever imagined. I think about Adrian's story more often than I'd like to admit. Maybe because, deep down, I've known people like him: quiet, hardworking, carrying the weight of battles they never asked for. And I've known people like Morgan too, the kind who believe power is a shield rather than a responsibility. Every time I finish telling this story, I hope someone out there feels less alone, less afraid to speak up. If you've ever dealt with something like this, I want you to remember one thing: silence protects the wrong side. Your truth is stronger than you think.